Good morning. Today we'll be discussing about deadlocks. Of all the various advantages of multiprogramming, such as increased throughput and maximum CPU utilization, multiprogramming also gives rises to some of the drawbacks called as race conditions and deadlock. A race condition is a situation where many processes are competing for the resources, and ultimately only one process will be able to execute it. That depends on each process has access that resource first. As such, race condition is not a problem. However, if you don't pay much attention, it leads to a severe problem that is called as deadlock. So today, let me discuss about what a deadlock is and what are the necessary conditions for the occurrence of a deadlock. So we'll see the screen. So here in this discussion, we'll be seeing what is a deadlock and what characterizes a deadlock, that is what are the necessary conditions of a deadlock and approaches for dealing with a deadlock. This is just an overview of the deadlock. It does not cover the each and every topic of the deadlock. Since this is an introductory class on deadlock, I'll be giving only the overview of the deadlock. Now what is a deadlock? A set of processes is said to be in a deadlock state when each process is waiting for the resource that is held by some other process in the set. So here, a set of processes will be in a blocked state. So none of the process gets executed. So absolutely the throughput of the process becomes zero. Now let us devise what a throughput is. Number of jobs executed per unit time is called as a throughput. So here, in case of a deadlock, not even a single process will be executed. Now, the real life scenario that we come across is a bridge crossing example where there is a narrow road and two vehicles are approaching in the opposite direction, and none of the vehicle will reach its destination if the opposite vehicle doesn't step back. So this is a famous example, real life example for a deadlock. Now we'll see. What are the various things the process requires in order to execute? Certainly, each and every process needs some resources for executing the task. Now, what a process does with a resource? First, it has to place a request for the resource if the resource is not available. The second one is once the resource is available, it has to grab the resource, use that particular resource, and finally it has to release the resource. So, usage of the resource by a process involves three phases. Let me repeat. The first being placing a request, second one is using that resource, and the final one is once the task is finished with that particular resource, it has to be released. Now, it is similar to the process which we follow when we go to a library. We borrow a book. Once that is the resource, we use that resource, that is read the book, and once we have read the book, then we'll be returning that book so that we'll be able to borrow some other book at the same time, allowing other other people to borrow the book. So this is the sequence of steps the process will be following whenever it has to deal with the resource. Now, we'll see what are the various conditions that will lead to a deadlock. There are four conditions which are called as necessary conditions. If and only if these conditions satisfy or occur simultaneously, then only a deadlock takes place. Now let us see what are they. The first one is mutual exclusion. Second one, hold and wait. Third is no preemption. And The next one is circular wait. Mutual exclusion. Now only one process at a time can use a resource. That is called as mutual exclusion. Now, what are mutually exclusive events? For example, the rise of sun as well as the moon, they don't appear at the same time. Similarly, if you toss a coin, either you will be getting head or tail, but not both at the same time. So these are called as mutually exclusive events. For example, when a process grabs the resource that is called as printer, at the same time, no other process is allowed to access the printer. This is called as mutual exclusion. The second important one is hold and wait. Now here, the meaning is quite simple. The process will be having a resource with it, but still waiting for the resource that is held by some other process involved in the competing for the resource. So this is called as hold and wait. No preemption. The process will not release its resource beforehand, that is before completing the task with its resource. That is called as no preemption. Now, circular wait. Now, the circular wait is an extension of hold and wait, wherein each process, that is the process one, has some resources with it, but still waiting for the resource that is held by process P2. Similarly, P2 is waiting for the resource that is held by P3 and so on. Ultimately, the final process, that is the process Pn, is having some resources but still waiting for the resources that is held by some other process, that is obviously in this case P1. So hold and wait in a circular fashion is called as circular wait. So if and only if these conditions occur simultaneously, then only a deadlock takes place. Now, so as I told you earlier, in case of a deadlock, the throughput becomes 0. This is very discouraging situation because none of the process gets executed and all the processes in the set will be in a blocked state. Now, how do we deal with it? There are various approaches for dealing with a deadlock. One is prevention, deadlock prevention. The second one is deadlock avoidance, and finally the last one is deadlock recovery. Now, so how do we know, before going to all the methods, how do we know that whether a deadlock has occurred or not? There is a provision that is called as resource allocation graph, so which has two attributes, that is the vertices and the edges. Vertices are represented, the processes represent the vertices. We have the vertices and the edges. And what constitutes the vertices? Vertices constitute resources and the processes. And you have a connection, that is the edges connecting the vertices. And there are two types of edges. One is request edge and the other one is assignment edge. Whenever we find an arrow pointing towards a resource, that indicates that particular process is requesting for that particular resource. Contrarily, whenever you find an arrow towards a resource from a process, that indicates this resource has been allocated to the process. So this is called as assignment edge. Now here, let us see the notation of a resource allocation graph. Now the processes are represented by means of circle and the resources are represented by means of the squares. Now here, now in the square you find a small boxes that indicates the number of instances of resources that the process is looking for. Now here is a simple representation of a resource allocation graph, shortly called as RAG. Now here you find a cycle in this graph that indicates the occurrence of a deadlock. So the best way to avoid is, in case of a resource allocation, whenever it leads to a cycle, that means there is a chance of having a deadlock. Now, now, as I told you, there are various approaches for dealing with a deadlock: deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, and deadlock recovery. Today, I'll be discussing about only the prevention. Now, here, the basic principle is prevention is better than cure. Now, in preventing a deadlock, we see to it that if any one of the four conditions, namely no preemption, hold and wait, circular wait, and mutual exclusion, doesn't hold good, then we can prevent a deadlock. So mutual exclusion can be avoided by using a shareable resource. Earlier we were discussing about the case of non-shareable resource, that is the printer, wherein only one process can acquire the printer at the same time. Contrarily, this can be avoided by using read-only files. So mutual exclusion can be avoided by using mutual exclusion can be avoided by using a shareable resource. Now the second one is hold and wait. How do you deal with it? Let us break this into two parts. One is hold. How do we avoid this hold condition? Now, the process will not be having any resources with it in advance. The process will not be having any resources with it in advance, but only by following the just-in-time approach. Whenever the process requires a resource, it will place the request for the resource. But here, there is no guarantee that particular resource may be available at that time. Now, let us look at the wait condition. In order to avoid this wait condition, the simplest solution is grab all the resources in advance. So whatever resources the process requires, it will be having all the resources in advance. Now here the drawback is low utilization of resources. Now, the third condition to violate is no preemption. So here, this is the simplest one. Whenever the process does not get the resource it is looking for, it will be releasing all its resources. So this appears very simple, but highly complicated. The reason being what the amount of time, effort, and the resources that the process has spent, that will go in drain. Now finally, the circular wait. Here, in order to break the circular wait, we have to impose a linear ordering of the resources in such a way that whenever the process requires a resource Rj, it can only request that process Rj after acquiring all the resources preceding to Rj, that is till Rj minus 1. So this is how we can avoid this circular wait. So this is a just overview of what a deadlock is, what happens in a deadlock situation, and what are the approaches for deadlock. And we have seen how to prevent a deadlock. So this is the topic of the day, and the remaining topics will be discussed in length at a later point. For any queries, you can email to me. Thank you.